After my 8th abortion, the doctor told me I had lost the ability to have children. Robert slammed his fist into the ground, repeatedly, until it was bloody and raw. Sarah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did to you, and for the 8 children we lost. My heart ached, and I held his hand. I understand your difficulties. With or without children, I'll always be by your side. Then, at an unexpected auction house, I stumbled upon him being intimate with his new secretary, Jessica. Robert, Sarah is here, and she looks furious. Does she know I'm pregnant with your child? I'm a little scared. Let's stop. Jessica said the words, but her eyes gleamed mischievously as she looked at me. Robert followed Jessica's gaze, then smiled faintly at me. Don't be afraid of her. She'll never leave me. She had 8 abortions and still willingly stayed with me, didn't she? She's lost the ability to have children. No one else would want her anyway. I didn't say a word. I just sat down silently. When Robert prepared to bid for an expensive necklace for Jessica, I decided to go all the way. He regretted it only after he forced me into going all in. Robert, you. Just as I was about to question him, Robert coldly cut me off. How many times have I told you? When you see me in public, you're not allowed to call me by my name. You call me Mr. Robert. Walking around with that miserable face. Couldn't you just stay home and rest during your recovery period? Why are you running around? The words caught in my throat and I swallowed them back down. The people around us stared at me as if I were a clown. She's just cheap goods anyway. Willingly had 8 abortions and lost 8 babies. In the end, she just can't bear to give up the status of Mrs. Robert. Exactly. She's clearly past her prime, but she wants to keep the status, so she has to turn a blind eye. Mr. Robert's attitude towards her and towards Jessica is like night and day. Why isn't she leaving? She's just embarrassing herself. This woman is born low. They say she had too many abortions and lost her ability to have children. Jessica's face grew increasingly smug. She leaned against Robert, speaking softly. Robert, Sarah might know I'm pregnant with your child, that's why she's upset with me. Maybe I should go apologize to her. After all, someone like Sarah really values appearances. Robert held her tightly. Jessica, I won't allow the mother of my child to bow to anyone. When I acknowledge her as my wife, others can call her Mrs. Robert. But if I don't, no one will treat her with respect. Why is she angry? Tell me, are her appearances worth anything? Robert looked at me, his voice cold. Your presence is upsetting Jessica. Get over here now, kneel and beg for forgiveness. Is she a tombstone? Why would I kneel and beg for forgiveness? I took a deep breath, forcing the words out despite my weakness. Robert, let's get a divorce. He seemed completely taken aback that I would dare suggest divorce. In his mind, I couldn't live without him, I was just a dog he had raised. He was the one who had gotten another woman pregnant, yet he pushed the reason for divorce onto me. What? So eager to leave me? Is your old flame waiting? He slowly walked towards me and abruptly tore open my top. I struggled to break free, but he held me in an iron grip. He pointed at my black strapless bra. Everyone look! She bought this outfit specifically to seduce me. On the surface, she's here for a divorce, but really, she just wants to lure me away from Jessica. I used all my strength to push him away. Robert! Don't go too far! He lunged forward again, but just then, the auctioneer announced that the auction was officially starting. He glared at me coldly. Just wait until after the auction. I'll teach you a lesson. The first item up for auction was a diamond bracelet, starting bid $168,000. The bracelet was crystal clear and exquisitely crafted. No woman could fail to be moved by it. Many people were eager to bid, but Robert spoke first. The mother of my child really likes this bracelet. I bid $168,000. When the crowd saw it was Robert bidding, they backed off one after another. They knew Robert's power. Even though the bracelet was beautiful, the gemstone wasn't particularly valuable, and $168,000 was already quite expensive. $168,000, going once. 168,000, going twice. 168 thou. Wait! I stood up calmly and looked at Robert. Mr. Robert, excuse me, I also really like this bracelet. I bid 500,000. As soon as I said this, everyone in the room turned their attention to me. After a moment, the room erupted in laughter. Is this woman crazy? Fighting with her own husband at an auction and raising the price of an already overpriced item so high? Is she burning money? Where would she get her own money? Mr. Robert has been supporting her all these years. But she actually dares to compete with Mr. Robert at an auction? Isn't she asking for trouble? I never thought a dog would dare to openly challenge its master. My actions seemed to make Robert lose face completely. He stood up angrily and pointed at me. You outrageous woman! What makes you think you can compete with me? Get out of here right now. At an auction, everyone bids based on their own means. If Mr. Robert really wants this item, he should just raise the bid. My face was unreadable, and I continued speaking neither humbly nor arrogantly. Why should I leave? Is this auction only for you to bid and not me? He was completely enraged. You're just a dog raised by my family. What right do you have to compete with your master? I've been supporting you all these years. Now you're using my money to compete with me? Even if it were just a dog I raised, there should be some real affection after all these years, shouldn't there? Besides, I'm a living, breathing person. A weak woman who had 8 abortions for you, Mr. Robert. I couldn't be bothered to argue with him anymore and turned to the auctioneer. Auctioneer, let's not waste everyone's time. I guarantee, as a citizen, that the money I'm using in this auction is entirely my own and has nothing to do with Robert. Jessica stared at me with ill intent and started to laugh. You said it yourself. Let's see how long you can keep this up. Afterward, we'll verify the situation. If your money is connected to Robert in any way, Robert will personally cut you off financially. My heart was chilled to the core, and my bids were fueled by anger. The item that started at 168,000 quickly skyrocketed to 50 million between us. The bidding continued. Jessica looked at me, pretending to be concerned. Sarah, you should give up. You definitely don't have that much money. What if Mr. Robert suddenly stops bidding against you? Can you afford this huge amount? I glanced at her lightly and waved my hand in response. That's my business. You don't need to worry about it. What you need to worry about is whether your Mr. Robert can actually win this item for you. Robert's face, which had been dark, suddenly broke into a smile. Sarah, you're truly calculating. Don't think I don't know what you're doing. You don't have that much money to compete with me. You just know I care about appearances, and now you're inflating a 168,000 item to 50 million just to make me lose more money. In the end, aren't you just jealous of me and Jessica? He walked up to me and took out the divorce papers he had prepared in advance from his briefcase. Sarah, I'm not short on money. Given our situation, to avoid people gossiping later, you should just sign this contract. I opened my mouth in disbelief. Robert, you had all of this planned, didn't you? All the property is mine. It's clearly stated here, you'll be leaving with nothing. I just want to see, after you're leaving with nothing, without the influence of the Roberts, where you'll scrape together this much money. His eyes became frantic, as if the scene of me being unable to pay had already appeared before him. My hands were shaking violently at the fact that he had prepared the divorce in advance. I held the pen, but I couldn't bring myself to sign. The onlookers fawned over Robert, treating me like a joke. Sarah, looks like Mr. Robert saw through your little trick, huh? Look, everyone, she's clearly guilty. She doesn't dare to sign the divorce papers. She put on such a big show just now, but in the end, she's still using the Roberts' money. I've seen plenty of women acting tough because of his connection. They think they're somebody, but without their master, they're worse than a dog. Jessica also came over, naturally linking her arm through Robert's, and sneered at me. Oh, right. Robert and I decided long ago that as soon as I got pregnant, he would file for divorce. Sarah, let me give you some kind advice. If you admit your mistake now, Come over here and kneel and beg for forgiveness to me and Robert 3 times, and give me the bracelet. We can let this go. I took a deep breath, steadied myself, and signed the divorce papers directly. Then, I threw the divorce papers at them and said to the auctioneer, "Auctioneer, please continue the auction." Robert didn't expect me to still have so much confidence after signing the divorce papers. "Auctioneer, I now question whether Sarah has that many assets. She's just trying to drive the price higher to make me lose more. I demand proof of funds." Proof of funds was not uncommon at auctions. I cooperated fully, took out my ID card, and handed it to the auctioneer. The auctioneer said he would be a moment. ND left with my ID card. A moment later, the auctioneer's expression towards me turned respectful. He returned my ID card with both hands. "Mr. Robert, please rest assured. Ms. Sarah is not bluffing. She has sufficient funds to continue bidding." "Robert, are you continuing?" I asked. He looked at me in confusion, biting his lip. "Sarah, how much property of mine have you been hiding? I wasn't careful enough all these years. You actually transferred so many of my assets without me knowing." I said loudly, like a bell, "Robert, I'll state it again. I haven't spent a single penny of yours. Because I'm not short on money at all." Jessica pointed at my nose and said, "Keep pretending. Even if you're rich, are you richer than the Roberts estate/company? Still won't admit it? You're just a dog raised by the Roberts for years. Even if you skim some money over the years, it's like throwing an egg against a rock. Robert would never let me lose to a lowlife like you." I glanced out of the corner of my eye at Robert. Sweat was already beading on his forehead. Thinking about it, it made sense. After all, something worth $168,000 had been inflated to $50 million. He probably wanted to back out now, but was afraid to say it because of his so-called appearances. "Mr. Robert, we've already wasted a lot of time. Let's hurry up," I urged. He nodded, composed himself, and said, "Sarah, the price has already been pushed to $50 million. When will this back and forth end? Today, I'm going all out. I'm determined to win this bracelet. I'm going all in." Whoa! Everyone in the room gasped. They knew that once someone went all in at an auction, they were committed to the absolute limit. One party would either go bankrupt or acquire the item at the highest possible cost. I looked at him with icy eyes. I had been with him for 7 whole years, and he was going all in for a secretary. I bid $60 million. This was tea. He biggest price jump since the beginning, adding $10 million directly. The crowd cheered loudly. But before their cheers could stop, I shouted loudly, "Since we're going all in, what's the point of adding $10 million at a time? It's boring. Why don't we finish this in one go?" I bid $100 million. After I finished speaking, the excitement at the auction house reached its peak. However, most of the voices were full of doubt and mockery towards me. Although the Roberts were said to be prominent, paying $100 million for a bracelet was still too extravagant. Robert's face was grim as he stared at me coldly. "Sarah, you just shouted out $100 million. Can you really afford that much? This isn't just talk like on the internet. If you can't come up with the money, you'll be going to jail." I smiled and stood up, asking, "So, are you in or out? If you're out, I'll proceed with the transaction now." Jessica glared at me and snapped coldly, "You crazy woman. They say one day as husband and wife creates a bond that lasts 100. I think you're deliberately trying to make Robert look bad. If you really have $100 million, we'll definitely keep bidding. A second proof of funds, do you dare?" Robert stared at me with eyes full of rage. I had no doubt that if we weren't in this setting, he would have devoured me alive. It was my father and Mr. Arthur who had arranged my marriage to Robert years ago. If it weren't for that connection, I never would have married him. My father had told me that the Roberts had once sided with the Sterlings, acting as loyal allies. Robert always thought it was his charm that had won me over. Not only did I lower my status to marry him, but I even had 8 abortions for him, only to end up with this result. Fine, I agree to a second proof of funds. I pointed at Robert. "Robert, you've already gone all in. I can accept the verification. But if I really bankrupt your family at this auction, I'm afraid your aging Mr. Arthur might not be able to handle it, would he? Robert instantly became furious. He rushed forward and slapped me across the face. Blood immediately trickled from the corner of my mouth. His eyes were red as he roared. You're asking for death. The Roberts have been in New York City for so long. If we can't even handle you, then we've wasted all these years. Let's see who ends up worse in the end. Just then, a man in a black trench coat walked in. Miss Sterling, Mr. Sterling has been watching the live stream of this auction. Mr. Sterling specifically sent me with $10 billion in assets from the Sterlings to support you. The crowd instantly erupted. Wow. Isn't that Mr. Davis, Mr. Sterling's private secretary? Someone like him is actually here at this auction house. More importantly, he just called her Miss Sterling. Could Sarah and the Sterlings of New York City be the same family? Oh my God, if that's true, the Roberts are in huge trouble. I won't forget this. I wiped the blood from my lip and said in a cold voice, Robert, Jessica, I won't let either of you off the hook today, just like you didn't hold back with your words to me. Just as the tension reached its peak, a white-haired old man pushed his way through the crowd. Mr. Arthur has arrived. With the announcement, everyone's attention shifted to the old man. The old man, breathing heavily, rushed straight to Robert. Robert called out grimly, Dad, slap, slap, slap. With 3 sharp slaps, the marks on Robert's cheeks became increasingly visible. You good for nothing. Do you have any idea how much trouble you've caused? Then, the old man smiled ingratiatingly at Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, why did you come personally for such a small matter? How has Mr. Sterling been recently? Mr. Davis ignored the old man's attempt at trying to butter me up and snorted coldly. I rushed here nonstop, and my Miss Sterling still got slapped. If I had and any later, your good-for-nothing son and his new daughter-in-law would have torn her apart. Mr. Robert, the bid is all in now. Neither of our families has a way out. Mr. Sterling told me to pass on a message. He'll give you enough time to gather people and money. This matter involves the personal safety of the Sterling's beloved daughter. We're not only going to win this auction, but we also demand a proper explanation. The faces of everyone from the Roberts turned ashen. I stood opposite Robert and Jessica, saying with a cold smile, Robert, I'll say it again. I don't care about your family's little bit of money. My family has plenty of money. I have all the money I need. Robert panicked completely. He came up to me, his face actually beginning to plead. Sarah, we're family. It wouldn't look good to outsiders if we made things too absolute. How about this? I'll let you have the bracelet for $100 million, and the Roberts will pay for it. I don't want to repeat myself. I have all the money I need. I don't need your family's money. I slowly took out the divorce papers I had just signed and slapped them onto his chest. Listen carefully. Before I signed, I admitted we were still family. But now, you are you, and I am me. The auctioneer interrupted us thoughtfully. Yes, the rules of an auction house have always been this way. Once one party goes all in, they either follow through to the absolute limit or declare bankruptcy. Jessica's face was so dark it looked like it could drip water. With this turn of events, she could only vent her anger on the auctioneer. What do you mean? Do we need you to tell us the rules of going all in? Haven't we been to auctions before? Are you looking down on us? As Jessica spoke, she actually went up to the auctioneer and started pointing and yelling. The auctioneer held up his hands. He had clearly seen how the situation was turning and no longer treated Jessica with any regard. What are you doing? I advise you to be rational, or I'll have our security remove you at any time. Mr. Davis scoffed. Mr. Robert, your son's taste isn't great, is it? Why did he find such a shrew for a wife? Mr. Arthur gasped for air, clutching his chest, and sat down on the ground. Robert tried to help him up, but Mr. Arthur pushed him away. Look at the mess you've made. Sarah was such a good daughter-in-law. And look at this shrew you've found. Jessica's eyes instantly turned red as she looked at Robert. Robert's attitude towards Jessica changed in an instant. He pointed at Jessica and cursed. It's all you, you lowlife. You had to seduce me and instigate my divorce from Sarah. Now look. You've almost driven our family to bankruptcy. Mr. Arthur stepped forward and slapped Robert repeatedly again. You useless thing. You've ruined the foundation of our Robert's estate/company like this. You not only pushed Sarah to the brink just now, but you also had the nerve to admit in public that this lowlife is pregnant with our family's child. You've shamed our ancestors. You good for nothing. Jessica rushed forward to intervene but pushed Mr. Arthur over with too much force. Robert couldn't stand it anymore and exploded. He punched Jessica in the face, sending her crashing to the ground. Robert lunged at her, punching her face repeatedly. Before long, Jessica's face was bloody and raw. Robert, stop hitting me. You said you would marry me and make me your wife. What if you disfigure me? It hurts so much. Robert, I'm pregnant with your child. It doesn't matter if you hurt me, but if you hurt the child. Before she could continue, Robert stood up, gritting his teeth, and kicked her repeatedly in the stomach. You lowlife! You dare to use the child against me? I don't want you or the child. Mr. Arthur watched all of this coldly, then walked towards me with difficulty. Sarah, how should we handle this situation today? Robert is my son, I know this isn't your fault. Mr. Arthur had always been good to me. My cold expression softened slightly. Mr. Arthur, you saw the live stream of the auction house. Robert humiliated me and then forced me to sign the divorce papers. What's more, I never expected him to go all in against me for a secretary. This situation clearly can't be resolved. The rules of the auction house are clear. Once someone goes all in, there's no precedent for backing out unscathed. Mr. Arthur's face was extremely grim. He naturally knew the rules of the auction house. Sarah, the Roberts have wronged you. But for my sake, can you show mercy? Mr. Davis immediately stepped in front of me. Mr. Robert, as an elder, why are you making things difficult for a younger generation? The rules of going all in at an auction are right there. How can you or I change them easily? Your good-for-nothing son insisted on going down this path. You're old, and I don't want to make you look bad, but don't try to pressure our Miss Sterling with personal favors. I still stepped forward and said, Mr. Arthur, I admit you've always been good to me, but was I lacking in any way towards your family? Before and after, I had 8 abortions for your family. You weren't unaware of that, were you? Later, I lost the ability to have children, and your son got involved with another woman and got her pregnant. You weren't unaware of that, were you? As my words fell, Mr. Arthur's face visibly changed, and I knew I had hit the mark. Surely, the family alliance from back then doesn't mean our family has to remember it forever, does it? The truth is, your son is not a man worth spending a lifetime with. I gave him 8 chances, and each time he became more and more excessive, acting like the master of the world. Mr. Davis continued seriously. That's right, Mr. Robert. You sided with our Sterlings back then, and our Sterlings have always considered the Roberts loyal allies. Over the years, how many benefits have we given the Roberts? Your son is young and might not know, but you should be perfectly clear about it, shouldn't you? So, at this point, stop playing the sympathy card. Mr. Arthur nodded with a gloomy expression, knowing there was nothing he could do. He pulled Robert and Jessica apart. Jessica's lower body was bleeding heavily onto the floor, a terrifying sight. Mr. Arthur walked unsteadily to the podium, his eyes complex, and spoke into the microphone. I apologize for wasting everyone's time. My son and Miss Sterling went all in on this item. The Roberts know we are no match for the Sterlings. If you play the game, you must accept the outcome. Now, I announce that the foundation of the Roberts estate/company, which has stood in New York City for many years, is officially declaring bankruptcy. All funds from this auction will be donated to major national charities. Mr. Arthur's passionate speech immediately drew thunderous applause from the audience. Most of these people were just spectators, a typical bunch of fair-weather friends. This auction was full of twists and turns. It was definitely worth coming. At first, seeing Robert abuse his wife for a mistress, I thought it was a heartbreaking scene. But until Miss Sterling turned the tide and drove the price all the way up, I realized this is definitely a classic underdog story scene. Heh, that's why you shouldn't be too arrogant. Being too arrogant comes with a price. Well, the Roberts' price this time is a bit steep. Their entire family is gone. Robert rushed towards me like a madman, all his former arrogance gone. Without even thinking, he knelt directly in front of me. Wife, I was just kidding. Please don't take it seriously. We lived together for 7 whole years. Even if there's no love, there's family affection. Can you really disregard all our history? With the Sterling's capabilities, you can definitely save the Roberts. Can you please? Before he could finish, I frowned and retorted, no. Saying that, I took out the divorce papers again and threw them at him. Let me reiterate, we are divorced. Stop trying to butter me up. I never wronged you before, and I never wronged the Roberts. Even if things have come to this point today, it's your own doing. He hugged my legs like a madman, begging bitterly. Sarah, I really know I was wrong. I regret it. I shouldn't have treated you like this for a lowlife like Jessica. Let's get remarried. Look at how I behave from now on. I'll definitely make you happy. Mr. Davis snorted coldly, then said to me, Miss Sterling, a man like this isn't worth going back to. You must not be soft-hearted. I nodded and didn't say anything more. Mr. Davis looked at the auctioneer and took the microphone from his hand. Sorry everyone, we've taken up too much of your time. We'll complete the transaction now and won't delay the auction any further. Mr. Davis transferred $100 million to the auction house right there, and the diamond bracelet naturally ended up in my hands. I examined the bracelet closely. Although it was exquisite, compared to $100 million, it seemed so insignificant. Mr. Arthur immediately transferred all the Roberts' assets to the auction house. The Roberts were declared bankrupt on the spot. Mr. Arthur, due to being overly agitated, suffered a heart attack on the spot and was taken away by ambulance along with Jessica. Robert lay on the ground like a madman, staring at the white ceiling, muttering as if possessed, "It's all my fault. It's all my fault." After this item was auctioned, Mr. Davis and I didn't stay and chose to leave. As I reached the exit of the auction house, I looked at the diamond bracelet worth $100 million in my hand and decided to throw it directly into the trash can. Mr. Davis was slightly startled, then clapped his hands in approval. Ms. Sterling, just throw it away. After all, it was the trigger that Robert, that heartless ingrate, used to trample on your dignity. It's good to throw it away, out of sight, out of mind. I smiled helplessly. I just threw away $100 million. This is the first time I've been so wasteful since I was a child. Miss Sterling, Mr. Sterling isn't short on this amount of money. Don't worry about it. Mr. Davis drove me home. Returning home, I felt a sense of warmth I hadn't felt in a long time. When I was with Robert before, I felt so tired and exhausted. Not only did I have to take care of him every day, but I also had to worry about his appearances and pride. All these years, I had lived so ethereally, like a fixed satellite, circling around him day and night without a moment's rest. I thought he would remember my kindness, but what I got in return was his betrayal. Physical exhaustion was minor, psychological exhaustion was the most tormenting. I couldn't help but admire myself. Even in that environment, I gave up my life as Miss Sterling and persevered for 7 whole years. Perhaps from the beginning, Robert only saw me as a tool for his desires. He was also forced by his family to marry me. I deliberately didn't let anyone tell him my identity back then because I wanted to test what kind of man he truly was. I'm glad I had that thought at the time. Otherwise, perhaps even now, pressured by my identity, I wouldn't have seen his true face. After staying with my parents for a few days, my body gradually recovered. I finally put the past behind me and decided to work at my family's company with peace of mind, starting from the bottom. Originally, Dad said that if Robert passed the test, he would hand over the entire Sterling's business to him. I'm relieved that Robert finally couldn't keep up the act. Otherwise, I can't imagine how arrogant he would have become if I had given him full power, and how he would have trampled on me. Because I deliberately hid my identity. My colleagues didn't know I was the boss's daughter. But even so, they were very kind and took care of me. I put my whole heart into my work every day, and my life felt much more fulfilling than before. After work, my colleagues would even take me out, hanging out, getting drinks/dinner, going out. Every day's activities were different, and those days were truly comfortable. Whenever I felt comfortable, I would smile bitterly. My past 7 years had been a self-inflicted hardship. Life started getting better and better. Just when I was slowly forgetting the people and things from before, Robert, a ruined man wandering the streets, actually showed up. That day, I got home late after socializing with colleagues. When I reached the neighborhood entrance, I saw a familiar figure standing there. Robert was standing at my door holding an urn. Since it was late at night, my alcohol suddenly sobered up. Are you crazy? Carrying an urn in the middle of the night to scare me? I said irritably. When he saw me, tears streamed down his face uncontrollably. Sarah, my dad died. The stress from that incident was too much for him. After his heart condition worsened, he passed away. My mouth fell open. I didn't expect that incident could actually cause Mr. Arthur to worry himself to death. After the initial surprise, my face became calm. Oh, but what does that have to do with me? His eyes became resentful. Sarah, you're clearly Miss Sterling. Why didn't you ever tell me when we were together for so long? If I had known you were Miss Sterling beforehand. Before he could continue, I interrupted him. If you had known I was Miss Sterling beforehand, you would have at least put on a show, wouldn't you? Not like at the last auction house, where you couldn't even keep up the pretense, right? He became speechless instantly, like a child who had done something wrong, lowering his head without a word. I walked around him and went straight forward, saying without looking back, "We are divorced. We have nothing to do with each other anymore. You don't need to stand here begging for pity with your dad's urn. Sarah, we were together for 7 years. There must still be feelings, right?" He rushed forward and grabbed my hand excitedly, his eyes red as he spoke. "Sarah, I've lost everything now. I really regret doing those foolish things. Give me a chance. Can we start over?" I pulled my hand away forcefully, frowning and scolding him. "What exactly do you want? I've made myself very clear. We're over. We can never be together again." Actually, I could see at the auction house that the person you truly loved wasn't me, but Jessica. Now that I've left you, you two can live a good life together. Even without the status of Mr. Robert, you have hands and feet. You won't starve, will you? As soon as I finished speaking, he actually fell to his knees in front of me, tears streaming down his face uncontrollably. "I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. Sarah, I don't ask for anything now, only for your forgiveness. I had a good life, a good situation, and I ruined it myself. I truly regret it." My eyes were like still water as I responded faintly. "Actually, I've replayed these events carefully. You got worse and worse each time, perhaps because I spoiled you. Because I loved you too much before. I wanted to give you the appearances you cared about. As Miss Sterling, I was willing to do anything for you. That was 8 abortions. In the end, I even lost the ability to have children. Even an ordinary woman might not have done that much for you, would she?" His tears fell onto the urn one by one. I took out the tissues I had with me and gently wiped away his tears, just like I had countless nights before. He was deeply moved and desperately tried to grab my hand, but I dodged him. "Pity is not love. All I feel for you now is pity. This is all you're doing. Even if you regret it now and want to get everything back, it won't change the fact that we are divorced. We can never go back. Do you know? From the moment you brutally beat Jessica and kicked away your child, every image you had built up in front of me shattered. As a father, you could bear to kick away your own child like that. It made me think of the 8 children I aborted for you. These are karmic debts. You don't deserve love, and you definitely don't deserve to be a father." Saying that, I turned and left without looking back. The urn in his hands fell to the ground, the ashes spilled out and were blown away by the wind, just like my heart, which could never return to his side. He desperately hugged my waist, crying out, "I was wrong. I really know I was wrong, Sarah, please forgive me one last time. Let go." That offensive gesture disgusts me. Hearing that, he shrank his head and let go of his hands. He was about to speak, but I spoke faster. "You'd better stop bothering me, or I'll have to call the police. From now on, if you dare to disturb my life again, this is what you'll get." He, a grown man, actually sobbed loudly, looking utterly devastated. I knew that at this moment, he was genuinely remorseful. But what had happened. Saying more was useless. The next morning, I woke up and went to work as usual. As soon as I left the house, I saw Robert, his eyes red and swollen. He looked gaunt but still forced a smile when he saw me. "Good morning, Sarah. I made you breakfast, freshly ground soy milk. Want to try it? You always wanted me to cook for you, didn't you? Starting today, I'll make you something different every day. I'm going to win you back." I kicked away the breakfast he had brought, my patience completely gone. "Robert, how can you be so shameless? Wasn't I clear enough yesterday?" This time, I was truly angry. I pointed at his nose and cursed. "Are you forcing me to call the police? You shameless thing." He lowered his head, twisting his hands together nervously. "I just want to win back our love, whether it takes a month, a year, 3 years, or even 10 years, I will definitely win you back. Sarah, I truly love you. It wasn't until I lost you that I realized what I had lost. After losing the status of Mr. Robert, I've truly understood a lot. I've also seen the reality of this society and understood how difficult everything you did for me was. I just want to make it up to you, it's that simple." Saying that, he actually knelt down in front of me again. "Over the past 7 years, you were always faithful to me, while I did many wrong things. Thinking about it now, I'm truly regretful. Give me a chance to make amends. Believe me, I can definitely become a good husband and a good father. Maybe I won't be perfect at first, but I'll try my best." I smiled sadly. "I've lost the ability to have children." His face instantly became awkward and he couldn't speak. "This is my last bit of patience." I knelt down and looked at him. "Actually, at first, my love for you started with admiration. As a rich young man, you knew how to build your knowledge and enrich yourself, something many spoiled kids couldn't do. Even when your family background was prominent in college, you would still strive hard for a few $100s in prize money. Back then, you were the student council president, standing on stage giving speeches, like the sun, shining on everyone. You were always positive and driven back then, with no ulterior motives, like a real golden boy come to life, like a character out of a romance novel." He seemed to recall these things, and his eyes glimmered with light. But soon, that glimmer extinguished. "But look at you now. Just because the company is gone, you seem to have lost all drive. The arrogance, the spirited ambition, the confident attitude from back then are all gone. Look at how you are now. It's not like you. The way I used to be was very much like you are now. But I can change now, and I believe you can too. Don't lose yourself in love. To love others, you must first learn to love yourself." I glanced at my watch, my expression turning cold. "You've seriously affected my life the past 2 days. I've also made it clear to you that we can't be together anymore. This is the last time I'll be lenient. If there's a next time, I will definitely call the police." He, a grown man, walked away helplessly, looking like he had lost his soul, his eyes vacant. As I drove around a corner, I happened to see Robert, who had just looked so dejected, now beating Jessica viciously as she was cornered against a wall. "She won't forgive me. It's all your fault. You're the one who ruined me. Beating you to death still wouldn't be enough." I rolled up my car window, shaking my head in disappointment. From the car display, I dialed 3 digits, 911. A year later, through my family's continuous efforts, the issue of my infertility was finally resolved. Shortly after, my father arranged a marriage for me. Although it was a strategic family alliance, this boyfriend was incredibly good to me. I could feel that he genuinely cared for me. Not only did he consider my feelings in everything he did, but he also made me feel that I received sufficient respect. And these were exactly the things Robert couldn't give me. His kindness towards me was like my kindness towards Robert in the past. But this new relationship was mutual. I believe this kind of love can last. The day Daniel and I went to City Hall to get our marriage certificate, my former subordinate informed me of a shocking piece of news. The night before, Jessica, armed with a butcher knife, had disemboweled Robert while he was drunk and helpless. The reason was that Robert had developed a psychological issue and would beat Jessica savagely whenever he was drunk. Jessica had tried to run away and tried to protect herself through legal means, but each time the consequence was that Robert became even more violent and escalated his abuse. Over time, Jessica developed a mental illness. Finally, 2 days ago, after Robert got drunk, Jessica picked up the butcher knife to protect herself and dissected Robert. They said the wooden bedroom floor was soaked with blood, and organs were scattered everywhere. The coroner who arrived at the scene was sickened. In the end, Robert died in his sleep, and Jessica would spend the rest of her life in a mental hospital. Upon hearing this news, I was silent for a moment, then treated it as if nothing had happened. As Daniel and I walked out of City Hall with our marriage certificate, the warm sunlight shone down on us. We smiled at each other and walked out of City Hall hand in hand. At that moment, the air seemed sweet. The end.